Yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Good evening once again. You're all welcome to January's lecture series organized by SPE Young Professionals Committee in collaboration with the Student Chapter Committee. And we truly appreciate your presence here. Thank you for taking time to join this session. I am Charity Class Peters, a member of SPE Young Professionals Committee, and I'm honored to be your moderator for today's session. A special appreciation to my executives for this great opportunity. Our focus for today is the energy transition beyond technology. We'll be looking at some skills, policies, and career pathways for young professionals. Um, we all know that the energy transition is transforming the way we live and work. And some of us are about getting to know or already know that beyond technology, it's driven by skills, policies, and new career pathways. Just imagine having to compete for a role with someone who has a particular skill that's in demand. For instance, data analysis or project management, and you don't have it. You could end up losing out on that role. I'm not saying you would, but you could end up losing out on that role. So, which means having some skills in line with your career is very crucial. Day in and day out, governments are setting ambitious targets. They are creating new regulations and investing in clean energy. So understanding policy frameworks can help navigate the industry works very well. On the other hand, there are opportunities emerging, but having the knowledge on which one to opt for or to go in for with regards to your career is very, very crucial. So gaining knowledge on where to go, what to do, just so you don't go around in circles before getting back on track is very needed. So as we are here today, we'll be exploring the skills that we need, some of these policies and the careers out there for us as young professionals. So wherever you are, I would want you to relax and continue to be with us. Get your writing materials ready and be ready to as we delve into today's focus. So we have outline. I'm really sorry for the interruption. So we have our outline, would have our housekeeping rules communicated to us, SPE safe start, icebreaker session, opening address, introduction of speaker, then our presentation would flow, our Q&A, feedback survey, then our upcoming events, then finally to our vote of thanks. It will be a quick but educative session. So please relax wherever you are and stay with us. So, to our housekeeping rules, to prevent distractions in the house, kindly mute your microphone. And if you have comments, suggestions, contributions, do all to drop them in the chat box. Or you can use the raise hand icon if you have questions and you'd be called on to speak. Our SPE Safe Start. As young professionals, our focus for this January is sustainability. And we are emphasizing on energy efficiency, using less energy to get the same results that you want. So instead of going out there for just any appliance, you would have to check out for some key things. So we have some tips to save energy at our homes. So when you're going in for an appliance, you check for energy saving appliance and you also check out for high energy rating as shown on the diagram A plus plus plus. It helps reduce electricity consumption and cost as well. You can also consider solar energy for long-term saving. And do not leave your refrigerator door open for too long. Energy consumption prepared will be consumed. It would move faster. And you would have to turn off electronics, switches, or bulbs when not in use. And we have many among others on our slides. So you can take a screenshot, then
Sorry about that. I think we lost Charity for a moment. Okay, so while we wait for Charity to join, so we just went through the tips, SP safety tips. I think the next item is the icebreaker session. And so in this session, we'll have, if you've been with us in our previous webinars, we'll have our classic quiz. We have 10 questions. And so at this point, we'll share the link to the quiz in the chat so that we can all join and then have a quick and productive session. So one moment while I share the quiz link in the chat. So a link has been shared in the chat. We can follow to join the icebreaker quiz. We'll start when we have up to 10 people joining. So you can just click the link to join. I guess. Okay. All right, so the link has been shared. All right, so we have up to 11 people. So while we wait for more people to join, I guess we can start the quiz. And so we have 10 questions, 15 seconds each. And so be quick and accurate. So we're about to begin with the first question. All right, we move on to the next question. Julie's in the lead. Okay, third question. Question 4. We're halfway through question 5. Question 6. This is a tricky question. All right. Question 7. All right. On to the next. All right. We have two more questions. Now to the final question. Remember, accuracy is key. All right. So we have Danny coming in third place, Richie in second place. Oh, so RJ came in first place. Congratulations, RJ. So we do have a reward for the winner. So you can reach out to us and then we'll make sure to hand you your reward. Thank you all for participating. I think Charity is back on the call. Hello, Charity.
Hello.
Okay, so over to you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Kelvin Ariapo. So we'd move on to our opening address. Would receive our opening address from Mr. Yao Frimpong Kodia Sapon. Okay, so we would call on Miss Efua Osayako to rather to give us the opening address. Thank you.
Hi, Charity. I think Yao has raised his hand, so maybe he's available to speak.
Yeah, thank you so much for making time. Again, thank you everyone for making time to this particularly important conversation. Um, as I always say, this is a platform for us to learn, a platform and an opportunity for each one of us to learn. And today is no different. Today is an opportunity for you to understand um, the pathways, the opportunities that are available through sustainable energy. And I just want to entreat all of you to pay particular attention and also maximize the time with the right kind of questions because we've got Ms. Ramatu over here who's going to give us enough insight from an upstream perspective. And I think once you have a better understanding of this, your interest will be piqued, and I'm sure there's a lot that you can get out of it. So thank you all for making time, and I trust you have a good session here with Charity and Ms. Ramati today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yao, Frimpong Kodia Sapon. He says we should take this as an opportunity for us to learn. So we should maximize the time to ask the right questions. At this juncture, I would want to introduce our speaker for the day. Our speaker for the day is an environmental and sustainability advisor with experience across onshore and offshore upstream oil and gas operations. She helps organizations navigate environmental regulations, reduce environmental footprints, and implement sustainability strategies that deliver real impact. Beyond her professional work, she is passionate about mentoring young people, helping them explore career paths, gain confidence, and see the kind of impact they can make. She holds a bachelor's degree in environmental science from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and she's also a practitioner member of the Institute of Sustainability and Environmental Professionals, UK. With some emojis of readiness in the chat box, I want to feel some reactions in the chat box. If you are here with me before our speaker takes over, I want to see some readiness in the house, some emojis of readiness in the house. Hello, can you hear me? I'm not seeing emojis in the chat box. Okay,
It
okay,
works,
okay.
yes.
Okay, I can now see. Okay, so our speaker for the day is Miss Ramatu Mustafa from Talo Ghana Limited.
Right. Thank you very much, Charity, and thanks, Kelvin, thanks, Yao, and all the executives for putting this together and getting me to come here. Let me see if I'll be able to quickly put up my face for those who yep. So let me know if you can see my face, if I'm appearing clearly on your screen. Mindful that network issues in Ghana is a challenge. So please bear with me if maybe along the way you can't hear me properly or maybe I go off. Just please draw my attention and we'll see how we'll work around that. Sounds good? Okay, cool. So, as Charity rightly mentioned, I work as an environmental and sustainability advisor with Talo Ghana Limited. I also read environmental science in KNUST, and I'm currently pursuing my master's degree in environmental sustainability. And so, bottom line, this is what I do. This is what I love to do, and this is, I won't say 100% passion, but on any day I would choose this path. Right, and I am happy to be here. And for your information, Kelvin, I was RJ, so I won the quiz. So I'll see you after the session for my gift. Anyway, so let me share my screen and then we can kickstart our conversation. Okay. Let me know if you can see my screen popping up at your end. Sorry, so because I'm sharing my screen, I may not be seeing the interactions coming in, even in the chat box if somebody is to put anything in there. So, Charity, let me know if everyone can see my screen. I'm here clearly, and it's good to start. So you can just unmute and let me know because I can't see anything happening in the space.
Please, I can't see your screen.
You can't see my screen. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Let me. Okay. But can anyone else confirm that they cannot see my screen?
Yeah, I think I can. I think we can
You
see,
can,
some of
right?
us can see your screen. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I think the network challenge. Okay. So if you can see, then I think we are good to go. But intermittently, if anything just goes off, just draw my attention so that I don't speak to myself. Yes. So I'm happy to be here. When Charity mentioned Yafrimpong. I was like Yafrimpong because my direct boss in Talo is called Yafrimpong. So I thought he was surprising me with an opening address. But yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, thanks for having me once again. So today we are talking about the energy transition, and this is a conversation that is buzzing up, and we hear something like just transition right after the COP30 in Berlin. And, I'm happy that actually Kevin reached out to me to say, can we have a conversation around this? Because anytime we talk about transition, people's attention would strictly go to technology. What are the innovations? What are the inventions that we need to put in place to be able to make sure that today we are here, but tomorrow we are over there? Um, One thing that we mostly would ignore it's is the people or the behind the scene of the transition because technology will actually not implement itself and policies would also not implement themselves. So you need people, you need the soft skill side of the transition to get us going. So basically today's topic is the the energy transition beyond technology. So just as a way of what we'll be talking about today. And I want this session to be as interactive as possible. So please feel free to just politely stop me somewhere that you would need a bit of clarity or you want to contribute to something, or maybe you can keep your questions. I don't know how it is really moderated here, if questions are taken at the end of the session or intermittently, questions can be taken here and there, but I think we'll figure it out as we go along. So today we want to be able to explore basically what is, in terms of energy transition, what is the technologies and what is the reality, right? We are very much aware that technology plays a very crucial role, a critical role in the transition. However, there is also an aspect of it that I give an intro to that we need to also be mindful of that as we journey along. We also want to be able to tell what are the skills that actually matter as we are in the transit state, and where are the emerging jobs coming from. So young people, we are in school, we are studying petroleum engineering, we are studying a lot of engineering courses, the sciences, the human resource management, the ITs and all, and so on and so forth. So where are the jobs really sitting? Or if you want to predict, if you want to have a look at it from a foresight perspective, where should you be putting yourself so that it can better position you for great opportunities? We'll look at that, and we'll also look at why young people matter. When we talk about energy transition, young people, we are in school, most of us are starting out early in our careers, so most of the conversations will not be forefronted by us, but we also are a center stage in this conversation because at the end of the day, we will get to live with whatever decision that is made, whatever consequence that comes out of those decisions, we will get to live with them. And that's why we are actually important in this transition. So we'll also touch a bit on that. And as young people and as students, as we have gathered here, we'd also want to know what we can do different from, the traditional way
Hi, Miss
of doing
Ramatu.
things. Yep. Hi.
Apologies to interrupt. Some of us can't see your screen. Can you please unshare and reshare?
Okay. All right. I'll do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So let me know if you're seeing it at this stage.
Yes, please. We can now see it.
You can see. Okay.
Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you very much, Charity. Okay. So before we delve in, right, just for me to get a good and a fair idea of who I'm speaking to in terms of the capacities that we have in the room, I just want us to take a quick poll. So if you have your phones, with you or any gadget, kindly scan the QR codes they are seeing on your screen, or you can just go straight into www.mentimeter.com. You'll be required to put in a code. So just put in the code, and it will take you straight to just two questions have popped up. It's just to give me a fair idea of who are my audience, and we can get the discussion going. So I will quickly pop up my screen with the Menti questions. Still let me know if everything is working and you guys are seeing my screen with Mentimeter and you are seeing the questions pop up smooth and clean. Okay. We have some early career team here. Okay. Okay. Please keep your votes coming. Keep your comments coming in. I want to be able to understand who I am. Okay, we have some students here. Let me know if you're having challenges trying to access the link or the QR code, but it should work fine. Okay, so 4 votes so far. All right, Prince, your hand is up. We have 7 early careers, so looks like we have more early career team here, and then a couple of students, which is good. Okay. So I have a fair idea of who I am speaking to. So in terms of the tone and how we deliver, I'll be mindful of that. The next question is this. When you think of the energy transition, what comes to mind? The first time you hear energy transition, what do you think it is? Does it resonate with you? Does it ring a bell? Does it remind you of anything? Just keep it coming in. Someone says, personally, that means the intentional strategies put in place to ensure sustainability. Another person said a shift to clean energy. Another also says they're moving from fossil fuel to a more sustainable and renewable energy solutions, which is perfect, which is actually what it is. Please keep your comments coming in, and this is just to keep our conversation interactive. Okay, another person says that a shift to clean and renewable energy. Are you guys typing, or you're having issues with the QR code or the sign in URL? Okay. So it's a gradual shift and switch from high emitting fossil fuels to low emissions energy sources. Good. Transition to a renewable energy. Another says I'm moving towards clean and sustainable energy. Okay, I think at this point we have about 7 comments, which is fine with me. Another one is coming, move from fossil fuel to clean energy and clean and sustainable energy. So if you look at it, it looks like we have a very good idea. We have a fair idea of what we are going to be talking about, which actually helps me. So it means I don't have to go all the way back to give some history, but we already have a fair idea and we can just kickstart the conversation. So I'm going back into my slides. Still let me know if you are seeing my slides, and we'll take it from there.
Yes, please, you can see your slides.
Excellent. Okay. Right. So, I mean, just as we've all contributed, when we say energy transition, it's basically mean we are moving from what it is now, and in the sense that heavy. Someone said heavy fossil fuel, um, emissions, right? So we have a traditional fossil fuel energy system where we extract crude oil from, beneath the seabed or even onshore. We process and we use and it emits a lot of greenhouse gas emissions into the atmosphere, and it also has its own impact on the environment, both short and long term, right? So that's what we currently have, and now the global community, right? Leadership, stakeholders, government, and the whole world, we want to find a solution to this, right? But what I want you to understand is that this wasn't a problem some time back. And so now it has become a problem and we are looking for a solution. Probably some time to come, the solution that we are finding today will also be a problem for tomorrow's, issues. But I believe that when we get there, we will cross. Right. So when we talk about energy transition, and I want you to know that the conversation didn't just start today. It's something that has that has happened several years ago. So I put a quick chat here to just to let us know that in the year like 16, in the 16th, right? 1619s, that's when energy really, as long as we live as human beings on earth, we need a source of energy for to maintain or to sustain basic life on earth, for cooking, for heating, warming stuff, and to keep our bodies even, in a good shape. So in the year 1619, there was coal, which kind of replaced the traditional wood system. And this was sometime in Europe. I don't know what Africa back then what we were doing. In the 18th century, there was the Industrial Revolution that was like packed by the exploration of coal, where everybody was going into coal, people were using coal, and there was a lot of greenhouse gas emissions that was being given. In the mid 19th century, there was then oil and gas coming into the scene where technologies were being developed to see how we can extract oil from in reservoirs beneath the sea bed, on land, areas where we could find oil. Late 19th century, there was the electricity, revolution where now people were trying to blend this fossil fuel with generation of electrical power, whether through water, whether through wind or whatever it was. So it was in the late 19th that there was this discovery around electricity. In the 20th century, there was the nuclear power and natural gas expansion. And then we are now in our century, the 21st century, where we are trying to move from what it has been to the renewable energy. And you ask yourself, why do we have to move? What is the problem, right? And I think all of us have a fair idea of what the problem is. So I kept to hear that the energy transition is a broad term that describes a shift from traditional fossil fuel energy system, so such as the coal, the oil and gas, to a sustainable renewable energy source like the solar, the wind, the hydropower, and so on and so forth. And why do we have to transition? Basically, we all know it's because of climate change, right? It's because of climate change, it's because of the environment, it's because of what the fossil fuel is doing to us today, and not even just for us today. Even if it was just for us today, maybe we maybe not live long to experience the severe impact of climate change, but it's for our future generation. And that's why we talk about sustainability. We want to preserve the environment, not just for us, but to meet our current needs, right? And then also be able to supply the needs of our kids to come, our future generations, when we are dead and long gone. So that is why this whole transition is a big deal, is a conversation that is being had at every level of organization, of institution, of wherever people leadership meet, they want to discuss, is because of the impact it's going to have on the future generation. And how would the transition look like? How are we transition? Okay, we say we want to transition from fossil fuel to renewable. How do we intend to do that? Technology, right? We intend to use technology. We intend to use technology to extract raw materials or resources from the environment. We intend to maximize those resources, use the same technology to build those resources into something that can give us energy that is not polluting the environment as fossil fuel is doing. So if you realize, it's always been about the human race trying to explore things, what works and what doesn't work. It's like try and fail. That keeps life going, right? And then so that is the energy transition story. However, the story is a bit incomplete, right? It's incomplete because once you talk about transition and you only focus on technology, then you are missing out on the bigger horizon, because it's not just the technology, right? A lot comes into play. There's policy, there's the rules and the regulations that shapes the transition. There's also the people aspect, the soft skills bit of it that ensures that as we set policies, as we make technology, they do not implement themselves. When you have a wind turbine and the wind turbine breaks down, it is a human being, or it is a maintenance engineer who would go in there and kind of fix the issue, right? So there is a human side of the transition as well. And that is why this presentation is actually important and it is useful, so that we know what part do we play in the energy transition as human beings, quote unquote, and then as young people, how do we fit in here? And then again, how do I best position myself so that maybe not now, but 5 years to come, I am well equipped. 5 years to come, I have the knowledge and what it takes to be able to, be an expert in this area, right? If that is, if that's what you want to really do, and I believe that that is what you want to do, that's why you are in this conversation, trying to, learn and contribute. So I've said that most discussions focus on solar panels, wind turbines. That is a technical aspect of it, but there is also the people aspect, right? So technologies won't operate themselves. I've already said this. Policies will not implement themselves. It is people. So ignoring the human dimension, ignoring the human side of transition is very problematic. And so this is just to tell us that what we think will drive the energy transition, which is technology. And truth is that technology is one piece of it. So it's like it's a necessary condition for the transition, but it is not a sufficient one. So a lot of things comes into play to ensure smooth and successful movement from fossil fuel now to renewable energy. There's another dimension of this whole discussion around um, energy transition, because it doesn't mean completely phasing out fossil fuel, right? There's a lot of dimensions, and I don't want to even confuse you with that, because there are energy mixes. There's a conversation around energy mixes, particularly for Africa. Our energy demand is not like that of Europe. Europe is already, developed. They've already industrialized. They are not where we are. And so when we talk about energy transition, our energy transition will not look like Europe's energy transition. So I just published an article on that, why Africans' energy transition will not look like that of Europe, because we are starting from different grounds. They are here and we are there. Our energy demands are different, systems different, infrastructure different. So things will not look the same. However, technology, as I said, plays a crucial role. But there is a reality bit of it where people come in, systems come in, you have the policies, the regulations, you have the accountability bits that shapes everything into perspectives, right? So I put it here that up to 70% of energy and infrastructure projects face delay, because not because of technical, but it's just because maybe somebody didn't show up at work, maybe somebody's having family issues, the person's not able to concentrate. There's a other side of it that most of the times is being ignored, and that's what this presentation seeks to address. So there's a skills gap where people need to be trained. We need to have the competent and the relevant people ready to ensure that the transition is done smoothly. There's a social bit of it where will people even accept the technologies we want to implement? You know how, quote unquote, some of us Ghanaians are very traditional or cultural, and so some things are not done. You cannot enter certain barriers, you cannot break certain grounds, and so some things will not be really accepted. So there's a social bit, there is a human bit, and there's a technological bit, right? So I hope you are learning something. Let me know if you are learning. Let me know if you can hear me clearly, and if everything is sinking in, and we can continue. Charity, just give me a thumbs up if everything is fine with you guys, because I can't see you. Hello?
Yes,
Let me just.
we can
We
hear
can.
you.
Okay, right. Okay, thank you very much for the confirmation. So that brings us to the question, what are the skills? I've talked about the transition, importance of technology, obviously. We've talked about, now we are zooming into the main reason why we are here talking about energy transition. We want to look at the transition beyond technology, which encompasses the skills, the policies, and then the young people, right? So emerging skills for the transition. If you're a young person here, you're passionate about energy, you're passionate about where the world is moving into sustainability. And you're asking yourself, probably you are in school, you're just starting out early in your career, and you're asking yourself, what do I need to have in my hands? What do I need to possess to ensure that I am not left behind in this transition? I am well equipped, I am well prepared, so that when opportunities come, you know that you have what it takes to jump onto them. So the first skill you need to have is systems thinking. And I like the fact that in the quizzes, I think there was something on systems thinking where your thinking is not just about one thing. Okay, you are a petroleum engineer, so all you do is you are a reservoir engineer. Okay, you are a safety officer. Okay, you are this, and you are just so fixated on one thing. But you think systemically in a way that how does um how does energy, how does policy, how does even politics interact to ensure that the transition is done and done very well? So you are thinking about how interconnected, what is linking, like what is linking all these things together, right? So that you have a fair idea of what goes on in all the other components, right? It gives you a certain kind of relevance. It gives you a certain kind of understanding, because you don't just understand your current space, but you have a fair idea of what your actions or your inactions is doing to the other parts of the transition, right? So you have to think systemically. So as I said, you don't just say that, oh, you are a petroleum engineer, or you are a safety person, or you are a sustainability professional, or you are an integrity professional, so that is what you do. You should be interested in what happens in the finance space, right? You should be interested in what is happening in the carbon offset space. How does those areas influence your job? And then it will help you to think further if for the next 10 years your job will even still be available. So that systemic thinking will really take you far. The next skill you would need or you will require if you really want to transition or you want to flow with this transition is energy literacy, energy data literacy, where you are aware, you know that these are the data, this is the numbers, not just from Ghana, from Nigeria, across Africa, West Africa, East Africa, in the Europe, Asia. You have the data, and not just the data, right? You're able to read meaning into the data, because it's one thing to have data, it's one thing to make the data make sense to the policymakers, to those that make the decision, to those that make the policies, to those that will finance those decisions. So you having that skill places you a level above your competitors, if I will put it right. So once you look at data, you're familiar with the data. I'm not saying that go around and searching for data and just be looking at it and be trying to ramp everything up in your head. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I'm trying to say that if you are interested in this transition, the way you should do is to look into the past. What has the numbers been? In Ghana, we are talking about transition. What is the kilowatt of electricity consumption for the whole of Greater Accra? What does that mean if we are moving from, if we are adding, let's say, X percentage of, solar to the whole Accra's consumption? Now we are not just doing national grid, but maybe 20% is coming from solar energy. What does that mean in terms of emissions? How does that translate into emissions, right? So you literally want to have a fair idea of what is going around. You have the data, you're able to read meaning into the data, interpret the data to make sense, so that policymakers and the big guys will find it useful. And for me, where I work, because we deal with a lot of data, once you're able to make sense out of the data, you become very useful, you become very relevant. We deal with numbers, lots of numbers each and every day. Every month, I work on what we call the greenhouse gas emissions accounting. So you look at over the 1 month period, that is a 30-day or 28-day, what has been our greenhouse gas emissions footprint. Then you go and you pick data from all the various sources, flaring, venting, fuel gas use, by the vessels that's going offshore, coming back from offshore aviation. We fly the choppers to offshore and back. So you have to. So it's basically data, right? data. We make decision on data, we forecast based on data, we model based on data. Okay. And the next skill you'd need to have is policy and regulatory literacy. This is so huge because at the end of the day, you have data, you know how things should be done, but there are limits to what you can do and what you cannot do. So this particular skill tells you, why should we even do this? Why do we even have to transition to renewable? It's because now there are policies, there are regulations. Why can't we flare beyond 50 million scarf in a day? You cannot, because EPA says that you cannot flare beyond this particular limit in a day as an oil producer, as an operator in a particular country. So, there are jurisdictional laws, there are jurisdictional regulations. And once you have a fair idea of that, it gives you a certain level of credibility. So imagine you're in Ghana, you have a fair idea of what is happening in Kenya, what is happening in the UK, in the US. You become a global asset, not just, a local champion. You thrive quickly because you can actually thrive everywhere you are put to. I remember one time I was applying for a job, and one of the key requirements they were asking for was that you should have a fair idea of the UK regulations. And I was like, wow, like I shouldn't just be in Ghana and be feeling like, yeah, the Ghana regulations back to back, you know what EPA is saying, you know what Petroleum Commission is saying and all that. It doesn't just end there. There's a world, it's your playground. So then you should be able to know what is happening across. And then it makes you very relevant and a global asset for that matter. The next bit I'll talk about is the social and the human skill. So dear to my heart. You don't work in isolation, you don't work in silos, you work with people. How do you handle people? Emotional intelligence. You should be able to have that skill as well. How do you answer to this person in this situation? How do you confront people? How do you, carry yourself? All those things, all those skills, they are soft skills, they are skills that people really, or HR may not even mention in the job description, but they are very key, and it tells us who you are as an individual and your work ethics, right? So you developing a social and a human skill is very crucial even as we transition, because the transition is not only just technological, remember, it also has the soft side that is a human bit of it. And then lastly, on my presentation, there's a lot to these skills, but for the purpose of this presentation, the last one is digital and AI literacy. I know that most people are thinking, hey, in the next 10 years, won't AI come and take over my job? The truth is that AI will not take over your job, right? The person who will take over your job is a person who's using AI, who has mastered AI and is able to use AI to serve them and not just leave their thinking to AI. That is how you should be thinking. Probably you are in school, you are just using ChatGPT to answer all your assignments and to do everything. Now it's fine, but you need to learn how to use AI better. Because if you don't know use it better, the person who has mastered how to use AI is the one who's going to take your job, your opportunities, and and everything that you could have had access to. So mastering your digital and your AI literacy skill is so important. And I put a last note there to say that the most valuable professionals, they sit at the intersection of technology, policy, and people. So it's like all around, right? We are not saying be a jack of all trades. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that know a bit of something. It gives you credibility. When you go somewhere and people are talking, you can contribute wisely and listen and learn. Um, so I'm moving on to the next presentation. Charity, could you just let me know if I'm running beyond my time? You could just ping me on the side and just let me know so that I'm more regulated as I speak. If you leave me, I'll talk, sir, because I'm very passionate about this topic. Okay, so there's a policy bit, right? So we've talked about the skills. Remember, don't forget, at least I put in 5 skills. So at least if you don't remember anything at all, there's a digital and then there's an AI bit, there's a policy and there's a regulatory bit, right? So don't forget that. And then there's the policy that is what are the policies that is coming up? There are some that is already existing, and then there's some that is now being implemented. They never existed 5 years ago, 10 years ago, but because of changes to what we have now, they've had they've been had to develop, which means that tomorrow different policies will be set up and the ones we may have today will be redundant. And so these are some of the emergent policies that are shaping the transition. And so if you are interested in it, it'll be good for you to have a read. There is a net zero and decarbonization there are policies around that, the Paris Agreement, where we were trying to, cut back on global temperatures below 1.5. Recently, I saw an article that said that 2025 was the third hottest year that has been recorded since. And that I think we are even above the 1.5 degrees Celsius limit. So you can tell that, Charlie, we are everywhere is hot. Yeah, and you understanding these policies really give you a good perspective of why do we do what we do, and how can you contribute as well. So there's their target on net zero emissions reduction, and these are, so there's country specific ones, there's sector specific, there's departmental specific ones, there's equipment, a lot of the policies out there. So you would want to have a fair idea of when they say net zero, what does it mean? I think in the quizzes I was a bit on net zero, and that was a bit tricky. When Kelvin mentioned, it was quite tricky. Yeah, so there are a lot of policies coming up, and you would want to have a read and have a fair idea of what is in there. There is a energy transition and a just transition policy that's saying that, hey, we have to stop whatever we are doing. This thing has to be done, and it has to be done now. Right. So there are a lot of policies around them. There's a bit on the carbon market and pricing, and this is really gaining grounds in like recent financial spaces. There's the carbon financing, there's a carbon pricing, there's a carbon accounting, and all that. So these are all part of the transition state. Now countries, organizations, groups are forced to disclose their emissions footprint. So you have to report it as part of your sustainability disclosures or your sustainability reporting to your regulators, to investors, to your government and all that. And there are a lot of regulations really around this space, and it'll be good to have a read. There's a bit on carbon taxes, emissions trading, where if, let's say, so for example, I'm sure Ghana is in an emissions deficit state. So if we have a lot of emissions and we are not using, we can sell to another country, say Nigeria, and then you credit it to them as their carbon, means like they are carbon free, and they can emit to that amount that Ghana is having to sell. So there's a bit on like carbon marketing and all that. And then there's a carbon taxes, there's carbon subsidy as well. So where a country that is um less polluted, or a country that has less greenhouse gas emissions in their books, they get to get subsidy for certain projects and certain funding to undertake certain activities. So these are all, great policies and great information out there as far as the transition is concerned. Remember, it's all about emissions, renewables, and fossil fuel, right? And there's a bit on the the renewable energy and grid reform policies, a lot of them, industrial and minerals policy as well. So yes, this is my favorite bit of the presentation. What does this mean for young people like yourselves, like myself? Probably we're just starting out in our careers, just wondering, okay, I've done maybe 3 years, I've done 5 years in this particular role. What is the next bit for me? I'm passionate about this, but where do I start looking from? Um, what does it mean for me, right? So what it means for you as a young person sitting here is that those who are occupying huge positions today, as far as this transition is concerned, they may not be there in some years to come. I'm not saying they would die. What I'm just saying is that they may go on retirement, right? Some people may decide to resign or whatever it is. So you are the next person who could possibly be filling that role. Or most likely, some of the roles that we have today, tomorrow will not exist anymore. Like there are a lot of roles that we have today that did not exist like 10 years ago. For example, carbon offset advisor. Nothing like that existed maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but now it's a big deal. Now we have the just transition advisor. Most of these things, they are emerging. And so you want to understand what does it mean for you and how do you better position yourself. So linear careers are dying. So if you cling to one narrow identity, you may struggle. So you say, me, dear, I am a petroleum engineer. So that is who I am. That is who I am. You would want to say, okay, now I know that there's a lot of discussions really around phasing out fossil fuel. Would I want to go into renewables? Would I have an interest in there? Just take a peek and see if it will interest you. I'm not saying that also be a jack of all trade, but what you are trying to say is to diversify to see if something may interest you and what is the benefit in the long term, right? The other bit is that generalistic with depth will win. When I say generalistic, and I think I touched on this in my previous slides where I mentioned that at least knowing a bit of almost everything is good, right? And not just noise, not just LinkedIn and shouting, but it's more of like you have a fair idea, a very good idea of something small about this. You have depth, at least in meetings, in
Hi,
conversations. You're able
Miss
to
Ramatu.
contribute. Hi,
Sorry for interrupting. Please, you have about 5 more minutes.
five
Thank
more
you.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah. So yeah, so back to what I was saying. So yeah, just knowing a bit of everything really puts you in a very good place. Credentials alone will not get you there. So you are studying, whatever it is that you are studying, try to add something different to what you're doing, right? Try to learn something different, experience, take opportunities to do your internships, take opportunities to be on projects that will make you learn and develop certain skills that your contemporaries may not have. And then also geographical locations here. This one I put it here that geographical locations really matter. And so opportunities are quite even. So it's about you putting yourself out there, you being visible, right? Visibility is really key in this day and age. If you're not visible, then you're doing yourself a disservice. You have to put yourself out there, open to learn, open to explore, open to gaining as much skills as you can. I'll just quickly run through since Charity says my time is almost up. I'm saying what it means for students, right? So if you're a student and you are studying whatever it is that you are studying, energy, whatever, so combine your degree with something else, right? You are doing a BSc or MSc, whatever it is. Combine it with something. Don't just sit down and finish your studies and now say, so what can I do now? So don't study energy in isolation, right? So energy is now more of political, is more of social, and it's more financial. So as you are studying this, try to know a bit of what is happening really around the political space as far as energy is concerned, what is really happening as far as social is concerned. So learn a bit of all these things. And then the other bit is that don't, so start building skills very early. Don't wait till until you're done with school and asking yourself, what can I do? And that's when I see students who are still in school and are active on LinkedIn. Like I'm very happy about it because when I was in school, I never got the opportunity to even, I didn't even know LinkedIn when I was in school, to be honest. It was just when I got out of school, started looking for jobs, and then, one thing led to another. So, if you're a student on campus and you are here right now, I think you're in a very good place. And so you should start building skills. You don't have to wait till graduation. Take internships, volunteer, volunteer for online activities, research, join something, and build credentials and build some skills from there. So once you're done, it puts you in a very good place. The other bit is that learn to communicate. Communication is very important, both the verbal, the non-verbal, in how you even write your emails, in how you are presenting your confidence and how you put yourself out there. You have to learn it, what it means for you as a student. And then visibility, I mentioned in the previous slide. I won't touch much on this because of my time. I'll just move straight to this. This is where I want for people in starting out very early in your career. If you want to go into energy transition, what are the emerging jobs? So there's the energy system. So the jobs around energy systems where we have the energy system analyst, we have the grid integration specialist. So there are a lot of them out there. When you search, there are a lot of them. LinkedIn, you keep getting notifications every now and then. So these jobs are out there. They are vast. All you need to do is to build that capacity, build that competence. And most of these jobs never even existed 15 years ago, but now they do. So what you're doing currently today may not exist 15 years to come. So you have to always upgrade yourself. You have to always, give yourself that upper hand, add on, learn more, improve upon yourself, and put yourself out there. Visibility. There's an opportunity to do something, take it on and build credibility. Um Lastly, yes, this is my last slide. And I see how to position yourself for success, right? Now, we've said a lot. We've talked about skills, we've talked about policies, we've talked about what does it mean for you as a young professional, emerging jobs, and all that. How do you position yourself very well? Please build hybrid skills. Don't do Doing one thing today may not take you anywhere if you aim to go in somewhere, right? Somebody says that if 2025 you did these things to achieve these results, in 2026 if you do the same thing, you're going to get the same results. So if you want to get something different outcomes, you do something different. So build hybrid skills, get practical exposure, attend webinars, attend events, attend seminars. If there's an opportunity to speak, hold on to it, learn, get a mentor, get someone to push you, and be humble enough to ask for help if you need to. Learn the language of policy and finance. I've already touched on this. Use AI as a servant and not as your master. As I said, AI will not take your job, but it is the one who has mastered AI who can take your job and replace you in any opportunity that is out there. So learn how to use AI to your advantage. Don't let AI think for you. Think for AI and use it to your benefit, right? The other bit is network intentionally. There's a saying that your network determines your net worth, right? And don't be biased in your networking. Sometimes people are only looking for a certain people of a certain class or a certain caliber. I may not have money for you, but I may know somebody who knows somebody who can help you get something. So that's how you network. You network with a mindset that you want to connect with people. You are genuinely interested in people, what they are doing, how can you learn from them, and how can they also learn from you. With that mindset, you develop a very rich network of people. And then lastly, think long term. Don't only think about today, but if you are doing anything, think about tomorrow. That's sustainability. So there's a system called sustainable thinking. So you are thinking not for today, but for tomorrow. And once you think long term, it influences your actions. It influences the things you say, the things you do, where you go, the people you work with, and all that. And at the end of the day, I believe that you'll be fine. Yes, you'll be fine. So, Charity, I hope the 5 minutes is up, and thank you very much for having me. I think I'll draw the curtain on this. And if you have any questions, any suggestions, comments, I'm happy to take them. Yeah, thanks.
Yes, please. Thank you very much, Ms. Ramatu Mustafa. Wow, very informative session. Technologies can operate themselves, policies can operate themselves, but there is the need for human intervention, and we need to be trained to have these skills to be able to operate these technologies. Very, very informative session. So at this juncture, I would want to take in questions. But before that, we would want to do a feedback survey. So there'll be a survey link in the chat box. Do all to tap on it and give us a feedback on our meeting so that we improve on our subsequent meetings. Okay. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat box or you can raise your hand. You can use the raise hand icon and you'll be allowed in to speak. Okay. Joy, please, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, please, we can.
Okay, thank you very much, Ramatu, for your session. It was very educative and insightful and eye-opening to a lot of things, especially for me who wants to clearly navigate the career of environmental sustainability and advocacy. Please, I have two questions briefly. The first, one of the skills you mentioned, one of the six, I've forgotten the particular slide, but you mentioned about how you should be able to navigate to get data. Yes, the five, energy, data literacy. You gave an example that you should be able to find data on knowing how much electricity is consumed in Accra. I posted in the chat, it was a little bit jovial about saying that even ECG themselves don't have that data. My question is in 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 a system as Ghana, as you said, one of the emerging skill systems thinking in such a system where there's a lot of paucity of data, paucity in the terms where there's inadequate or inefficient data. How can you navigate your way to that to be able to get not necessarily the situation you give, but to be able to get data to work with or even to do research with? And then second question is to the latter information on your slide, how can you be able to access um, opportunities to be able to navigate this career path in terms of having volunteering opportunity internships or even doing certain certification course? Are there specific places you can go to be able to get that knowledge so that when you get that knowledge you can then practice to get experience so that you can then fulfill your career? Thank you very much. I hope my questions were well taken.
Yeah, yeah. So, Charity, how do you want us to do it? Do we take one question at a time, or how do you usually would run it?
Please, however way you would want to address the questions.
Okay, right. So maybe then let me just take it one question at a time so that I don't lose my thoughts on it.
Yes.
Yes. So I mean, I'll give my answer, but I believe that we have great mind here, and so probably Kelvin and anyone else who could add on to my response, that would be great. So Joy, just to answer your question, right, I'm very much aware that there's a lot of inefficiencies as far as data is concerned, right? Not just data, I think a lot of areas that there are inefficiencies once you are talking about energy or anything of that matter. But then again, you don't have to limit yourself because they're inefficient. There will always be inefficiencies to be honest. There will always be that point where you're stuck. But once, so that true, some say the true heroes are those that break through, right? I don't want to say that, but that's really what I'm trying to like that. You have to always push through to be able to get where you want to get. So there are a couple of sites that if you want data, maybe not Ghana related data, but there are a lot of global platforms that if you want to get information on, some data, I share a couple of the links as well. We want data on this, data on emissions could get data as MS is concerned, but I'm aware that there are a lot of inefficiencies. But you see, you just need to always keep searching, keep asking. If it is research, you always have to ask. You not get 100% what you want, but you get something to work with, right? I cannot promise you that you get everything, but once you keep searching, even the Bible says that asking nice. Once you see relevant people, you will be given a bit of help. We all understand. I'm sure everybody understands the inefficiencies as far as Ghana is concerned. So the next question, right? You asked about access to opportunities, and for me, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'll tell you that ask. That is ASK. Ask. Close mouth don't get. And I'm very passionate about this. Like I am an author with sustainability in South Africa. I got my opportunity to author.
Miss
I saw
Ramatu.
somebody was. Hi, can you hear me?
Sorry. Yes, please, but there are glitches at your end.
Oh, sorry. Is it better?
Yes, for now
Is it
it's
better?
better. Yes, please. Okay, so
Okay.
if
All right.
you could repeat what you said.
Right. So I was
Yes,
answering
thank you.
Joy's second question, right, on how do you get access to opportunities. And I was saying that you have to open your mouth and ask, okay, I know you do your personal investigations, researching, trying to see where you can find opportunities, but primarily you will get them when you will speak to people and you let people know what you want. Because people are not in your head to know what you want. You would have to ask them. So I was telling I was saying that I got opportunity to author on Sustainability News Africa by DMing somebody I saw on LinkedIn. I just saw him. I saw that he was speaking at various conferences. I'm like, this thing is nice. Let me just DM this person and ask him if he can just teach me how does he do these things, how does he speak, how is he able to develop confidence and all that. And he was like, "You want to be an author?" I was like, "Yeah, why not?" And I wrote my friends asking, "Was like, this is great. Let's publish it." And today I published my second article. What I'm trying to say is that you have to ask. The least people who say no to you, but by all means, ask. You never know what you're losing if you don't ask. So if you see somebody on LinkedIn that or anywhere that you feel like this thing that they're doing resonate with you, please just walk up to them shamelessly and ask. Don't ask like sometimes somebody said that sometimes we look our destiny of being afraid of us because of how we present ourselves. I'm not saying go and fake things, but what I'm trying to say is that ask politely, ask respectfully, not with desperation, but sometimes you have to let them know that you need this and you would need their help. The worst they can say, I said, is stay you. Life moves, but you never know what you would miss out if you do not ask. With that being said, I think LinkedIn is a great opportunity. It's a great place to fill out opportunities. So you could just connect with people, set opportunities. So there's a hack to like maybe someone just want to see what is available in space. So you type in, go to the LinkedIn head and maybe the job section. You just type maybe environmental advisor / hiring. So you see, you see all the hiring, all the positions that are available, the job description you put in there, no, all the positions that are available in various countries that you've said to, and you be able to, I mean, you keep giving it a shot, you keep giving it a shot, you keep trying, but then again, embrace.
Hi, Miss Ramatu.
Hi.
Sorry. Please, there are still glitches at your end.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. But
Thank
please,
you.
can anyone else confirm that they are feeling
Okay.
glitches?
Okay, sure.
Yes,
Yes,
it's
we
breaking.
can all confirm.
Glitches are
Yeah, there are glitches at your side.
Apologies. I really apologize. I think it's my network situation. Apologies. But Joy, I hope I've tried to answer your question at least 40%.
Yes, please, you have. Yes, you've
Right.
done way than 80%. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joy. We can connect later. Yeah.
Sure, we would. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay,
Thank
Wilbert.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Wilbert Adri, and I want to thank Ms. Ramatu for this power pack presentation. So I just want to be brief. My question is related to Ghana. How long have we come as a country in terms of energy transition, using the solar energy maybe as a case study or as an example? Because we have so much or much intensity of sunshine in Ghana that can even provide electricity for the whole country and beyond. So how far have we come? And in policy making, is the policy more than the actions that we are taking, or is the other one? Thank you very much.
That's a good one. But I think Ghana, just like every other African country and probably every other developing country, is having same issues, right? There's a lot of sunshine, there's a lot of raw materials, a lot of resources, but maximization of that resource is really a challenge. Um, you know, primarily political, other times institutional, other times accountability. And when you ask me how far has Ghana come, as far as the discussion is, I'm just going to put a document entitled the Ghana National, the Ghana National Energy Transition Policy. It's actually a policy that I've shared with Kelvin. So probably Kelvin, maybe you can drop it in the chat. It's over like 120-page document. You can just have a read. It gives you a fair idea of what has Ghana set out to do as far as the energy transition is concerned. There are a lot of policies, tell you, lots and lots of policies, but now it has to be the implementation of the policy, accountability. Who watches the watcher? This is in place. We say we'll do this. Are we doing it? So give you, for example, our NC's national contribution as part of tailing the effect of climate change, Ghana CDC, who is monitoring to make sure that we are doing what we say we are going to do. So there's a challenge of we not maximizing what we have in terms of resources, good sunlight. Are we able to have built solar systems from it? That's one thing, but we also have huge issues with technology. We have another problem with political. Ghana, we politicize almost everything. So policy side, you can have a good read at the document. It really gives you the insight about Ghana. And we say we want to transition by, I think, 2050. I don't know how feasible that is, but I don't know whether I'm sure they have their internal monitoring skills to be able to tell that by maybe 2040 we are here, by 2045 we are here, and 2050 we are finally there. But there are policies. It's just the implementation and then the accountability bit. I hope I tried.
Yes, please. Thank you very much. Please, you can take 2 more questions. We are to end by 5:30. Thank you.
Yes, please. Okay. Patrick.
Hello. Good evening.
Yes. Good evening.
Yeah, please confirm you can hear me.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Patrick. I'm dialing in from Port Harcourt, Nigeria, and just want to appreciate the PH section team, and also the speaker. I've tried to connect with you on LinkedIn. Great session. So straight to the point. My question is in line with what the other person asked. So not just in not just in Ghana. I just want to ask or get your thoughts on why the African country and companies are actually delaying when it comes to transitioning to renewables, right? You made mention of solar system engineering, which is my area of interest and specialty. So when you come down to Africa, you see that it seems as if they intentionally want to stay with the use of fossil fuel. Checking the global updates, you see countries like Germany, Spain, etc., giving good progress on their clean energy generation and progress. Oh yeah. So 26th of January is going to be International Clean Energy Day. So I'm just looking forward to see what the African countries and companies are going to report. Yes.
Yeah. Brilliant question. And I'll probably drop a link in the chat box. I just published my second article, as I mentioned, on why Africans' energy transition will not look like Europe's, right? But when you read the article, I was just trying to break down the fact that, in fact, our transition will not even look like that of the developed countries because we have a fundamental issue, right? Ours is more even about energy access, and there are millions of people in Africa that are even struggling to get access to simple electricity, simple energy, and they are not, So now talking about renewables is even another phase of it all. So why is Africa really not, at the forefront like these other developed countries? Primarily, I would say is institutional, right? That is just my perspective. I mean, I stand to be corrected, but it's more of institutional, where institutional encompass politics. There are policies, beautiful policies pasted all over, but are these policies implemented? That's the first question. I need they are implemented to what extent? Who is monitoring them? What are the outcomes of these policies? And because day in and day out, we are going in for funding, but what are we using all these funding and resources for? So Africa, we have a big issue, and I know that almost all of us on this call acknowledge that Africa, we have a big issue. I don't know if it's a mindset issue, it is a people's issue, but there's an issue, and it goes just beyond energy, right? It transcends into other areas. So for enthusiastic energy professionals like yourself and myself, the best we can do is to keep educating people, and the least opportunity we get, we make our voices heard. We make sure that our voices matter. We put our ideas out there. At least you may never know who's watching and who's learning. Maybe not now, but the upcoming generation will pick it up and do something better about it. But our issues primarily is institutional, is political, is how we manage resources, is from the top to the down. Everything is just systems not working. Yeah, that's the honest way I'll put it. Yeah. Lastly, Sam.
Yep. Hello.
Hi, Sam.
Hello. Good evening, Rama. I would
Good
like
evening.
to first of all thank you for the presentation and also thank the organizers for such a powerful seminar or lecture. First of all, my name is Samuel, an architect by profession and also a military enthusiast. And I like so much anything about sustainability and anything green because I see the architecture there's a direct correlation between architecture and sustainability. So much that architecture plays a lot of role in terms of sustainable development. The question I have is, how does sustainability differ from environmental protection?
Okay. So
Thank you.
you're welcome, Sam. So I think probably the answer is even in the name. Environmental protection is you protecting the environment, right? Making sure that the systems that we have, our water, the atmosphere, the air, the land is in a good place to be able to sustain life, to be able to sustain us, to ensure that ecosystems are working and they are functioning in the way they are supposed to function. The air is not polluted with a lot of harmful gases. The water is not polluted with a lot of mercury and arsenic from galamsey activities. The land is not degraded because of mining activities or what you usually have out there. Sustainability, on the other hand, is like the senior sister or the senior brother of environmental protection, where it takes the conversation a step further to talk about we want to protect the environment not just for us but future generations. So sustainability actually tells you it just stretches the conversation a little bit to we are not doing it for ourselves. So now the motivation behind the doing is for the future generation. However, we still acknowledge the fact that we are living and we need to still use the resources. So we want to make sure that we have enough available for ourselves and enough available for our children's children to even come and meet how much they would also need, right? So sustainability is just looking at the long term of it. Environmental protection is looking at probably the long term, but it doesn't define it in that line. So it's more of let's protect the environment, let's make sure that everything is working as God has created it. Sustainability is saying let's think far, let's think tomorrow, let's think 10 years from now. The decisions we are making today, how does it affect future generations? That's why we have sustainable thinking, we have sustainable financing, sustainable banking, now sustainable human resource management. So it's just looking at how do we do it better to ensure that the outcome benefits today and tomorrow's generation. Sam, I hope I've done justice.
Yes, Ms. Rama. Very well represented. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Sam. Charity, I have two other hands up. Let me know if you're okay for me to take it, or we can just answer them backstage.
I would have to continue with the rest of the questions backstage.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Okay, over to you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ramatu. We really appreciate your insights. Wow. We need to take up opportunities, know a bit of everything going on in other spaces, and credentials alone will not get us there. We need to try to add something different to whatever we are doing. Wow. Thank you so much for this informative session. Okay, so others, Jancha, would want to congratulate our spotlight personnel for January 2026, or Miss Antoinette Sichofe is our spotlight personnel for January 2026, and she's a petroleum engineering graduate with over 2 years of experience as a maintenance engineer and currently pursuing a master's degree in subsea engineering. And she has contributed a lot to SPE. She served as Women's Commissioner for the SPE KNUST chapter, and she also serves as the chair for Spotlight Lead for Young Professionals Committee. Once again, congratulations, Antoinette Sichofe. So this is a call to all of us to sign up to be a member of SPE, heighten our commitment, and be given openings like this. And this is not just a cliche or for fun, but it's a channel to many other opportunities. So let's make here for the following announcements. So on the 30th of January 2026, we are having time with the freshers. We get to know benefits of being an SPE member, and our speaker will be Associate Professor Richard Amorim. You want to add it to your calendar, and also on the 20th to 22nd May, we are having our International Summit and Exhibition Conference at Accra, Ghana. So at this juncture, I would want to take the vote of thanks from Tracy Ekuba-Mensah.
And so I think Tracy had to drop off to go for other engagements, so I'll just step in and do it in her place. Okay, so first of all, we thank God for a successful session, and we want to thank the organizers of this event, the SP, YP committees, and the Student Liaison Committee for putting this wonderful one together. Also, we want to say a big thank you, and all of you will join us in saying thank you to Ms. Ramatu for such an excellent session, a great presentation. I think she had us all hooked throughout the session and evidence that others still have more questions. And so I'm sure you get the opportunity to connect with her after and then continue the discussions there. We thank all of you also for taking the time to join us and contribute to such an insightful session. And we hope you continue the discussion of sustainability around. We also thank Charity for moderating a good session. So thank you all so much and do enjoy the rest of your day.